The mighty spey is on its bones. You can feel the power of the river, the volume of the water. Now, there's about 10 inches of water against me just now. Obviously it's on the drop, so it's pretty fast running over the gravel. But this is normally about 3 feet deep. And when it rains it's 4 or 5 feet deep. Down there it's quite a bit deeper, but I know the river well now. I've learnt this bit quite well. There's a lot of trout here last night, but I'm on the gravel, what you might want to call the reds. Although the actual real reds are just further up. You know, there are reds in this area. Reds are where the salmon stick their eggs. Anyway, it is really nice to walk through the spey because it's chocky with fish. It's really, really chocky with fish. I'm going to get my shorts wet, but I'm not bothered. I can see little trout and little salmon par, and probably small sea trout, little like finnock shooting away. There's a few big ones. There's a trout just rose right there, right in front of me. Try and walk up in it. Sometimes if you walk up behind them, you can get right on top of them and look down into the water, you see them. I've actually been doing it, right, he's just shot away, a wee tiddler. I've actually been doing this and a decent sized salmon swam right by me, about £10. So I'm in just above my knees. I've got a saw because I'm cutting sticks. I'm cutting hazel for making sticks, pegs and stuff. I'm just admiring this. I'm in the middle of the river. And normally you wouldn't see the gravel, but a lot of ducks, a wee flock of mergansers just wandered by me, wee babies. There's young ducks there, seen them last night as well. There's another clutch on that side that are a lot smaller. There's a trout rose there. There's olives hatching. There's another trout rose there. You'll actually see them if I zoom in. If you just watch the surface, you'll see the trout rising. That fish is up a few times. There's a lot of brown trout here. Last night this was really flat cam, it was like glass, so I could see them everywhere. The night you need a little bit of a keener eye, but they're still quite easy to spot if you've got a trained eye. There's a lot of trout in the move. I'm looking for things in the riverbed, old bottles and stuff like that. Anything that's of interest. I'm going to have a wee dip. I'm going to dip myself right under because it's beautiful. I walked all the way up last night, about 100 metres, maybe 200 metres. In fact, that tree across is a wee bay. Probably about 250 metres. Right in the middle of the river, and it was just up to my thighs. Oh, that was a good fish. Where did that turn? Right over there on the margins. There's another trout, see them rising. They're hitting the olives. There's olives hatching. What else is hatching? There's a few sedges. You can see the wee ducks that I was talking about. See them up there? See them? 1, 2, scattering across the surface. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, a wee trout just jumped behind them. I've got eyes like a hawk. See the wee ducks crossing the river? See them? They're out there, they all go. They're leaving the mum now. So there's 7 there. 7 or 8. I think she was up at 10, so it looks like she's probably lost a couple, but that happens. It does happen, unfortunately. Absolutely beautiful river. Alexander, no, it's actually not, mate. It probably looks like it, mate, but it's not. It's actually the back end of Rothiemurchus. believe it or not. The kind of tail end. In fact, it probably doesn't even come under Rothiemurchus. The Dotterels were over here last night. They've got a chick. You can see one of them sitting in the fence post there. If I zoom in, you'll see it. See it, wee tiddler? So they were sitting there last night and I seen the chick. And I followed the chick. The chick went in there into those tree roots and I just left it. I moved away because both parents were getting a wee bit stressed with my presence. But I like the bird watching, so I sat up there last night in the sandbar and the goosander came down with 5 young, zoomed by me. The wee ones are beautiful, they've got a stripe across the eye, absolutely stunning. There's ducks sitting here, a lot of mallard in this river, there's teal, there's widgeon. What else have I seen? There's all sorts in it, there's all sorts. I've seen a golden eye, there's so many kinds. But look, I'm going to look down, right, so, wait till I zoom out. You'll see my feet. Right, so we're now at knee depth, right, and the water is absolutely like gin. No wonder the whiskey's so good and no wonder the fishing's so good in the spey. It's unbelievably clear. If I stand here long enough, the trout drift back to me. So I'm going to set up the wee 3-weight or the wee 4-weight. There's a wee trout just turned right there. I'm going to set it up and just have a wee couple of chucks. Because that's another good fish rose over there. These trout will not be hard to catch with a wee caldy, a wee CDC fly, a wee olive shipmans or something. Lot of ducks on the go tonight. That's the dotterel making that noise, it's going mad. I'll move back a wee bit because I don't like annoying it, in case its chick runs into the floor or something. You might think this is a bit odd standing in the middle of a river, but I actually really enjoy it. Look at the ducks. And the sun's just setting. That's towards like Granton and Spey, away down that way. Beautiful. So I'm just marching around in the water here. And believe it or not, right, it's very warm. It's very, very warm. And there's still a wee bit of snow in the Cairngorms, so you're getting a bit of snow melt pushing through. But it's obviously got to come through more like an inch. So it's getting time to heat up. It's taking the edge off it. And actually, the temperature here just now for swimming is fantastic. That's just a folding saw that I've got here. Because there's good hazel along this river side, so I'm going to cut some sticks. Yeah. And I'm just marching up and down the river having a wee nosy. And if you stand here long enough, right, the salmon that are lying down here in these pools actually come charging through, and you'll just see the big V shape zipping right towards you. Big bar of silver coming flying in. It's great to see them. They're pretty incredible fish to see. Pretty incredible fish to see. As I say, I've stood right and you can see the clarity. See at night time with head torch on standing here, you see them going by you. I've seen them, they've run right by me, literally feet away. Good sized salmon, you know, upwards of 10 pounds. Which is great, you can reach out and grab them, but I don't bother with them. I wouldn't do that, you know, they're on a mission, they're trying to get somewhere. Now, if you walk here, right, so again it's shallow, right, say there's 10 inches of water, but see the draw from here to there, 20 feet away. If you slip and that pulls you off your feet, you're going down, you're getting 50, 60 feet, maybe 50 metres down that river, because that flow is unbelievably powerful. The Spey's a really fast river, but at times it looks, you know, dormant almost, it looks docile. Looks like there's no flow. There's stretches of it up here, it looks canal-like. but it's not. The flow in the spey, especially when it was a good trout jump there, especially when it drops a foot or two, it really, really pulls off. So I'm obviously been doing this for years, this kind of stuff, so I'm pretty clued up. And I know where I'm going in a river as well. I don't just wander blindly in, because it would literally pull you down, so it's not for everybody. It's definitely not for everyone. I'm just standing watching. See the black-headed gulls up there? See the black-headed gulls? So they're on the olives. So you've got the olives hatching, right? And what the trout don't get, the black-headed gulls get, or what the black-headed gulls don't get, the trout get. So the two of them are competing. Not only that, you've got swallows and house martins and swifts dive bombing them. So you've got three separate entities competing for the same food source. And that is, a lot of people don't realise that. Those black-headed gulls are telling me right now that if I was up there, there'll be a good rise of fish on, because there's olives hatching up there in the thousands that are not hatching down here. That's what kind of happens. You know, they hatch, and they, like the mayfly, they kind of step out of their skin. It's like an exoskeleton. They literally step right out it. If they land in your arm, you can watch them do it. They leave a kind of clear shell in your arm. It's just it's like a shuck, a buzzer shuck. Chronomids, they're wee chronomids, and it's actually the casings that they leave that die all over the water, like canis. It hatches in the millions, and the trout gorge on it. There's a wee trout just touched my leg there. They literally gorge on it, and they fill their bellies. You'll hear the trout all night long, just supping. You know, it's called nymphing. They come right in the surface with mouths open, and they just nymph right in the surface and gorge until they can't eat anymore. It's pretty impressive. Do you know another thing you get in these native rivers? You get indigenous crayfish. You know, not American signals, you get indigenous crayfish, and I've seen some really big ones. They're pretty impressive. The nippers on them are phenomenal. You're not allowed to touch them or anything because they're a protected species, unlike the American signals, which are now at pest levels. I mean, I've been in here for a while, and I'm warm. My legs are warm. That's the temperature of the water. I don't know if the spey's ever... It probably has been lower, right? But to my knowledge, I don't know if it's been lower than this. I know in the 80s and that, it used to get massive summers, but in the last 10 or 15 years, it's definitely not been lower than it is now. Because the gravel bars are everywhere. I mean, it's unbelievable. Oh, that goosander is coming back up. In fact, is that a merganser? Nah, it's a goosey. No, it is, it's a merganser, I think. Anyway, it's swimming back up, so we might actually get a look at it when it's young. I'll let her get closer before I turn round. Yesterday was a funny day, so... You know, I was a wee bit animated at times yesterday, but I went in a shop to buy a new pair of Crocs because the strap in my Crocs burst and I was raging. And the girl brought me like an 8 and a 9, right? And I said, can I get a pair, like with the same number? You know, a wee bit OCD. And she's like, what do you mean? I said, well, that's an 8 and that's a 9. She went, oh, just ignore that. So I laughed and I was like... So, well, obviously I can't ignore it. You know, they're different sized, and I've already got a slightly smaller left foot because I had some of my toes cut off and put back on again, and there's like wee bits missing. So I said, can I get two that fit? And she was like, well, they're the same, just ignore the numbers. And she's like getting frustrated. So I said, well, if I'm going to buy them, you know, if I'm going to commit to buying them, I'd really, really like two with the same number. I don't think I'm asking a lot, and I don't think I'm being out of order. Actually, quite logical at times in my life, you know, when I'm not being an idiot. Anyway, she bit the face off me and said, I didn't make them, and grabbed them and stormed away. I says, I never suggested that you did. I just know that if I'm buying it, I'd like two that are the same size. So, aye. So I was a wee bit peeved, but anyway. And then, what else happened? Something else, some other crazy thing happened. Wee trout jump in there. Wee par maybe. Something else happened, which was another kind of bizarre thing. I had been looking at a spool of £6 fishing line, right, on the internet to buy it. You know, you order it and it comes. So I'd been looking at that, right, and I always use, like, you know, Daiwa sensor. I've used it for 30 years. It's never let me down. You get it in a bulk spool, 2,000 metres, it lasts for years, and I can load up half a dozen, you know, or 3 or 4 good reels with it. Anyway, so I put it in my basket on a fishing website and I forgot to buy it, right? I forgot to click the buy button. And I was looking at the roadside, right, at a roundabout, and what was lying on the roundabout? A spool of £6 Daiwa sensor full with the wrapping on it. I mean, I don't know what the odds must be in that. It must surely be in the tens of, no, the hundreds of millions. So I haven't bought a spool in Ireland in years. I needed a spool. I stick it in my basket. I forget to buy it. And then the next day on the roadside, I find a full spool of £6 Daiwa sensor in the wrapping. Honestly, I took a picture of it at the roadside. I was like, that is absolutely bizarre. So I think to myself, the fishing gods are looking down at me, which means even though the rivers are low, it's possibly a good time to fish. Now, I'm the kingfisher anyway, you know, I'll catch fish if fish swim, but even so, sometimes it's nice to have the fishing gods on your back. I know Big Brian, the Thin Red Line, thinks he's a bit of a fisherman, but, you know, I don't think he could lace my boots with a fly rod. I'll maybe need to give him an education someday. Look at the speed of this duck coming. What is it? It's a wee is it a wee teal? Or a wee widgeon maybe? Ah, it's a teal. It's a wee teal. It's a wee teal. So aye, there you go. That's a crazy story, isn't it? I mean, I don't know what you think of that, but I just thought it was absolutely bizarre. I've never found a spool of fishing line in my life. I've found strange things fishing. I was spinning once with jerkbaits on the Balgrey Reservoir in Barhead with my mate Chris Hamilton, and I caught a sandbag, and inside the sandbag was a sawn-off shotgun and a dozen old shells. True story. Yeah, that was a laugh. We took it to the pub, as you do. It's a long time ago. The rules were different then. But I found an old rusty sawn-off, double barrel side by side. Another time I went fishing and I found a rod set up. And a guy phoned me and he's like, "Will you use up the bar lock?" And I said, "I was up. It's up at Lochwinnock." And he says, "Oh, I left my rod." I says, "I've got it in my van." I'd found his rod in the water 3 days after he left. He'd forgot to reel it in. He had 3 rods out and he forgot he only reeled 2 in and just went home. It was like a, you know, 250 quid reel and probably a 150 quid rod. And I recognised it and I knew it was his, but I just didn't say it until he started flapping. So there you go. The sun is beautiful, everything's beautiful, the birds are singing, the gulls are getting a good feed, the trout will be getting a good feed, the salmon will be lying, you know, in a bad mood because there's not enough rain, and all is equal and the equilibrium has been restored, you know. There's a roe deer lying over there, it keeps popping its head up in the grass over there at that fence line. It's about 30 metres out from the fence. There's a little roe, I think it's a roe buck. I'm sure I can see little horns. He's in the grass there. He's having a peek. He knows I'm here because I'm upwind of him. What else have I seen? There's cuckoos going nuts in the distance. I love the cuckoos, I love the sound of them. I'm still in the river. These shoes I'm wearing, these little rubber tight shoes, they were £4 I think, in a market stall. They're literally the best shoes I've ever had for this kind of thing. I'm sure they were £4, £3 or £4 anyway they were. But they've been brilliant, and I wear them constantly now because my Crocs broke. So I'm just watching these gulls feeding. There's wee trout and parr rising everywhere. I don't know if you can see them, guys, but they're just dimpling. They're not much bigger than sticklebacks, some of the wee ones, but they're absolutely stunning. Wee bars of silver just jumping right out of the water. Let me see. Let me look at the comments. Oh, I didn't realise there were so many comments. Aberlour, Alex. Yep, I'm not far from it. I'm not far from it at all, mate. James, it is warm. It's lovely. Big Brian's in. Big Matt. How you doing, Matt? Mrs. Adams, Lorna, Wee Man Sham, Iron Brew, Mayfly. Oh, I'd love to fish a mayfly on here. Poor Willie was up playing doll. Good on you. How you doing, Ian? John Little, thank you. Davy McPhail's a great tyre. He's one of the very best for sure, he is, without a doubt. You can't take it away from him. Bandit, how you doing? Hatchet Harry. Harry, thank you very much for your generosity, mate. I appreciate that greatly, mate. I'll put that towards my Crocs, Harry. They've went up a wee bit in price because China is in a bad mood with us, apparently. So thanks, Harry. Fishing rod is in the shack. I've got a wee lovely wee 3/4 weight. It's a beautiful wee rod. The guy's actually in Aberdeen that he hand builds them, he makes them up, they're gorgeous. And I'm gonna get it out because it's perfect for here. I can literally walk towards rising fish, so if the rising fish are here, right, what I'll do is I'll bring a tripod down and I'll stick it in the gravel and I'll fish in front of it so you can see what I'm doing, right? I'll actually walk towards a rising fish and I'll cover it with a really short cast. You know, I'm effectively fishing under the top eye of the fly rod. It's almost like dapping. That was a nice fish there, right there, 20 feet away. So likes of that fish, I would walk up in the flow, right? These trout with that peripheral vision, you know, they can't see me coming up the back of them. They literally can't see me. That's how cormorants, mergansers, other sawbill birds, you know, goosanders, sawbills, they swim upstream and they work the pools upstream because they hit the fish tail end first. That's why you see, like the salmon I caught at its stripes in its rear. A goosander or a cormorant's never going to be able to swallow a, you know, 8-9 pound salmon, but they'll attempt to because such is their prehistoric drive to feed. You know, they're absolutely prehistoric in their behaviours, so they will attempt to swallow a 5 pound rainbow trout on a, you know, in a supplemented reservoir. That's just what they do. They don't know any different. Once they go into hunter mode, they will hunt and hunt and hunt until that hunger in their belly is satisfied, and then the switch will go off again. Did you see the wee trout that time, wee tiddler? It's nice to see them jump. They're actually seeing flies, right? Although they do it for fun as well, you know, or do it for something, maybe to clear their gills of grit or whatever. But they're actually spotting flies, I believe, and they're springing right out of the water to try and grab them out there. Literally, I've watched them do it. You know, different people say different things, but I'm here watching it, so I'm not writing books and I'm not in a classroom. I've lived on this side with nature all my life. I've spent my life doing this. Every year for, you know, probably nearly 40 years. So there's a wee wagtail over there. So as I was saying, I'll be able to walk up to the back of rising fish, right? And I'll just slightly, say the fish is rising there, right? I'll cast there with a short line and I'll work out the length of my leader so that fly just drifts right by it. See, once it comes into that V of vision in front of it, it won't, on the river, it literally won't, especially right now, absolutely perfect dry fly conditions, it won't say no to it. It will come up and take it straight off the surface. It won't decline like something like a yellow owl, you know, a little buzzer or a little kind of shipmans, something like that. But any kind of little cul de canard CDC, which is, you know, cul de canard for a fly tire is, it's the holy grail for dry fly fishing. It comes out the little pineal gland in a duck's bum. It's the little gland, that was a nice trout, did you see that one? The little waterproofing gland, so when you see the duck, you know, scratching its bum with its beak, it's actually getting waterproofing for its feathers. It's not just randomly nibbling its own bum. And then, you know, the fishermen love it because it floats. It's got its own natural buoyancy, which is phenomenal. So you can imagine how valued that is as a fly dressing material. But aye, so there you go. So that's what I'll do. I'll get the fly rod and I'll be walking upstream, and it's like upstream dry fly fishing or upstream nymphing. You know, there are different terminologies. To me, it's just fishing. I don't care what it is. As long as I've got a line in the water, then I'm fishing. But I'll be walking up. I'll be watching for rising fish, and I'll put a line right out to them. You know, I'll put a line right out to I'll put the fly right in front and I'll let it drift right over the top of them, because I'll know where they're rising, and they generally hang, you know, they'll rise several times in the same spot. They'll move left, move right, but they usually fall back in line. There's trout rising everywhere. I mean, there's literally hundreds of trout in this wee stretch of water, and I'll catch a dozen of them tomorrow night really easily. And I might do a little catch clean cook with some of them. You know, they're small trout, but they're edible. You know, 9 inches is the kind of rule of thumb. Anyway, guys, I'm going to go and do my private stuff now. You know, have my wee walk to myself. It's beautiful. The sun's splitting the trees. It's a really, really magical night. And what can you say? I'm still in the river. And it's still roasting. And I still love it. So see the difference in flow? See the fast water, obviously you wouldn't fish here, right? The fish will run through it, but they're not going to feed within it. It's just too fast. They're charging through because they can't hold the current. But up there, and just down there at the bottom of it, brilliant bit for fishing. This bit here is chocker. It's chocker with trout. So tomorrow night, I'll whack on, I'll whack the tripod out, and that's what we'll do. Somebody's asking, do I tie a wee nymph to the bend of the hook? I've seen it done. No, I don't do it. I don't do it at all. How can I say this? I'm a bit of a purist, right? I'm not like, you know, I wouldn't annoy anybody with my style of fishing or try and get other people to convert. I fish myself. When it comes to my fishing, I'm an absolute loner. I've almost got a spiritual level kind of love for fishing. I've had it all my life. Me and water, you know, water mesmerises me. It sends me around the bend. And I'm very, very at one with water. So when I'm fishing, I try and keep it purest. I'm watching a trout just now 3 times. It's just tried to take a fly off the surface. I'll catch that fish tomorrow night, my first cast. So basically what happens, right, is fishing to me is like an illness, right? It's an obsession. It's in my blood. I'm from an area where we were all brought up in fishing, fisheries, poaching, out all night long, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning, otter boards. That was our thing. We did it to obsessive levels from a very, very young age. We trout right there in front of me. We were crazy for it, and I still love it. You know, I don't need to be doing it all the time. I think about it every time I see water. I think about it most days, and my obsession for fishing, fly fishing in particular, and pike fishing will never ever, you know, it will never ever go away. It will never change. You know, I'll never lose it. It's just, it overcomes you, and I suppose, unless you've really done it and really, really experienced the best of it and, you know, the essence of it, then you maybe never really understand it. Folks say fishing's boring, then they follow that up with they've never done it. You know, when you hook into a wild fish, especially in a river, and that fish shows you its power, there's nothing like it in earth, you know. It's, in my opinion, I don't care what anybody else thinks. So I love it. I can't get enough of it. It's magical. And being on this river, you know, just the whole beauty of the spey, it's an incredible system. You don't know what you're going to catch next. I mean, the river spey's done brown trout over £15. You know, huge fish. It's done a lot of fish over £9, which is incredible for wild river brown trout. Yeah, you might say it's not the river that it once was, but it's still probably the best of Scotland, and it's sought after by Americans. They spend fortunes to come here. You know. So just having the fly rod and just casting and moving, casting, move, covering water, and just enjoying the scenery, the wildlife. I see otters fairly regularly. I see all sorts of bird life. I see stoats, mink. What else have I seen? There's a lot of deer come down for a drink, especially in days like this, and you get to be literally feet from them. You know, I've been only metres from wild otters, and that's magical. You can't really put a price on that. And give me wildlife, and give me countryside, give me this before people. You know, pubs, clubs, socialising, food, cars, clothing, anything. Give me this before that. I could have nothing. I could have the shirt on my back, but as long as I've got this, I've got everything. That's really the way it is. Because this is everything. You know, this is all you need. There's the medicine right there. The sun, the scenery. I mean, I've been standing staring up there for over an hour, and every time I move my eyes I see something else that's new. And then there's the sound of the water, you know. That's a melody all of its own. And then once I leave here, I go back to reality, back to, you know, whatever it is that I'm doing. But as long as you can fit little bits of this in and, you know, fill the gaps with a little spoonful of this, a little spoonful of this and a little spoonful of that, and you'll be fine. Beautiful breeze blowing against me. Fresh water pushing onto the sea on the east coast. You know, literally drinkable water. It's incredibly clean. And I just don't know what's wrong that anyone could walk along this path, right, and not stop and be mesmerised by the magic of a river and just absorb it and, you know, understand a wee bit of it. I don't, folk will say to me, oh, you sound like a hippie, or you, I don't care what I sound like. I don't really have any feeling at all in regards to, you know, what anyone else thinks or does or sees. I know what I see and I know what I get from this. So tonight I'll be very at one with myself tonight. I'll have a very peaceful night with this. You know, because I've been here, I've absorbed all of this, I've absorbed all of that, I've thought about a lot of things, and I know that tomorrow night I'll come and, you know, catch a few fish, and I'll absorb that kind of energy. This is all energy, it's all medicine, regardless of whether or not I'm a hippie, you know, or whatever you want to call me. It's got no relevance. It works. That I know that this works for me because I already feel healthier than I did when I arrived here, you know, an hour and a half ago. I feel healthier already because I've just allowed it to work its magic over me and put me under its spell. And it doesn't matter how many times I look at a river, that river puts me under a spell every time I look at it, be it in the peak of summer or the depth of winter. I still feel the same way about it. And that will never change. I've never felt less than I did 30 years ago for fishing. You know, it's exactly the same. Yeah, there's periods of time when I'm not doing it because I'm so busy and involved with other stuff, but it's always in my mind. Every time I pass a body of water anywhere in the UK, I'm like, wonder what's in there, you know, and then I start thinking about the fishing and all the rest of it. Anyway, it is what it is. It's not for everybody, but it works for me. So beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. There's a couple of geese, couple of grey legs down behind me going cuckoo. Probably annoyed that I'm in the best spot. Listen to that sound. Right guys, thank you very much. I've just noticed that a few people have donated some. I'm very grateful for that. Thank you very much to all of you. I'll put that towards my Crocs because I can't live without them. I know that you think they're crazy looking, but I literally I like the air about my feet. Even I wear them in the winter. You know, I wear shorts in the winter, but I really love them and I can't live without them. And when they broke, I was crying. So, you know, that nice wee trout jumped twice there. See that? Anyway, guys, Rhonda, how you doing? I'm going to shoot. Sundown is the best of colours. It's stunning. The River Forth, it's a lovely wee river as well. Gaz, how you doing, mate? Daz, I'm doing a bit, but I'm actually just in the process of upping the training again. I've been sorting some storage out and stuff, so the bags are getting hung up for the weekend in a wee new bit of storage, and I'll be whacking the bag again. But no, I'm feeling okay. But I'm gonna reduce. I'm gonna knock a few pounds off myself in the next couple of weeks. But I'm fit in the head. I'm always fit in the body as well. But you know, sometimes carry a wee bit of timber because I'm gluttonous with food. I've always been gluttonous with food. I'm usually on a seafood diet. A seafood, I eat it. Simple as that. Well, who cares, eh? At least the fish are happy, they're fed, that's the main thing. And I'll feed them tomorrow night, but it'll be an artificial offering and they'll come and meet my acquaintance. Beautiful, isn't it, guys? Absolutely stunning. That was, you know, probably painted by Claude Monet or Pablo Picasso or somebody like that, or my favourite, Vincent. I could just stare at that for hours. Beautiful. Right, I'm going to let you go. It's been a blast, and again, thank you for your kindness. It's always greatly appreciated, and I'm grateful for the support. I'll catch up later in the week, guys. And I'll maybe show you a wee bit of fishing tomorrow night if anybody's interested. Okie doke. Right, take it all. Take it easy, Ollie, and stay steady striving. Good night, thank you.